A little bit about this field that we're standing in right now. It's I've been farming this field in a no-till situation, which means I don't do any tillage. I come right in with my planter and plant this next year. It will be soybeans into this standing corn residue. And also on this field, Alyssa pointed out the grass strip that's around the edge of this field. It encircles the entire field. By no-till, I mean I'm not disturbing the soil at all. As I've got equipment, my planter will come in and go directly into this cut through and slice through the residue. And this residue is just last year's corn stalks and corn leaves that's still laying on the soil surface. And that's going to soak up the rainfall as it comes down. It's going to act like a sponge and hold the water in that material instead of allowing that water to run off over the soil surface. When any rain falls, I would like it to stay on my field and rather than running off. So what this residue and what this corn stalks do is create barriers to slow the water down from leaving my field. The corn stalks and the residue actually acts like a sponge in that it holds the water, it soaks it up, and that residue will become saturated. But that happens before the water starts to run off. So that water stays on my field. And then what water would happen to run off has to go through that grass filter. So again, that's going to slow that water down. And when you slow the water down, any soil particles that might be in the water have a chance to settle and to stay in my field rather than moving on downstream.
What do you do with the water after it is like I guess purified? I guess do you keep it or?
Actually, in this field we're standing in right now, if Alyssa scanned down to our right just a little bit, you see there's a pond down there. And so any water that runs off of this field in particular is going to end up in that pond. And I don't want that pond to be damaged or create problems with the soil particles and erosion in that water. So I'm trying to keep as much of that water as I can up here on the field. To answer that first question, yes, I do use that water from that particular pond as it's a water source for my cattle. The cattle are not allowed to be in that pond and stand in that water, but I have a water system that runs through the dam, and there's a tank below the dam of that pond that the cattle have access to. So it's used for cattle watering, and it's.
My question is, it sounds like you have a really great system, and it made me wonder why any farmer would want to till their land. Why do farmers till their land?
My grandfather used a moldboard plow, which totally turned the soil upside down and everything would be black on the surface. My father switched from a moldboard plow to a chisel plow, which left about, I'll say 50% of the residue on the surface. And now I'm farming and I'm trying to leave all the residue on the surface. But there's also some other things that come into effect. Different soil types can affect how well a soil would dry out or warm up and warm up in the spring for planting.
So explain a little more exactly what erosion is.
Erosion would be when the water is running across the soil surface, and as water is running, it's going to be picking up soil particles. This would be on a molecular level. It's going to pick up soil particles, and so what this residue and my field border with my grass border, I want to create as many obstacles as I can for that water to have to go over, through, around, any way to slow that water down. But any water that would run off my field, it has to go through, if you can see over here, I've got a grass border all the way around this field. So anything that runs off of this field has to go through that grass border as well.
And I was wondering if you had any like other obstacles for the water to trap it in or something.
So what other conservation practices, Dan, do you do maybe other than those that we specifically talked about today?
Yeah, other than in this field, I have other fields where I have terraces. And to explain a terrace very briefly, it would be like, and I'm sure some of you have seen these in fields, it's almost like a dam, a pond dam in a field. And what that's going to do is catch the water and slow it down and keep it from running as fast down the hill.